Oop, didn't have the mag all the way in. It's like, that is really quiet. Awesome. Compact 9mm can on an FPSR shooting CCI standard velocity. Looks bad and sounds bad. That's awesome. Hey, thanks for tuning in to Twang and Bang. Out of all the things that I learned shooting the Liberty Centurion for the first time, I think what was most surprising to me was how cool that compact 9mm can looked on my FPSR. I mean, I've been shooting my Infinity on it for years. I've been shooting the Mystic X on it lots. But there's something about that shorter length while still having that fat outer diameter that made it look really cool. Well, though the Centurion is based on the design of the really popular Mystic X, which was based on the design of the erstwhile popular Infinity, there are some pretty big differences in sound and suppression and intended use. And that's what's coming up next on Twang and Bang.
Like many Liberty silencers, the Centurion is the direct result of customer requests. They asked for a silencer small enough to keep mounted on a bedside gun, and Liberty thought that sounded like a great idea. Designed around the popular Mystic X, the Centurion is a compact silencer designed specifically for optimal suppression, wet or dry on 9mm hosts. The Centurion itself is 5.3 inches long and only 7.9 ounces. Add the included 1.5 by 28 booster assembly, and the can measures 6.5 inches and only 12.5 ounces. As you would expect, the Centurion is compatible with all the Mystic X and Infinity mounting solutions and pistons, which is especially handy for me because I own one of each of those as well. The Centurion monocore is based on that of the Mystic X, made of the same stainless steel. However, due to its shorter length and decreased volume, the Centurion is only rated to pistol caliber pressures. Since it breaks down for cleaning, it's also rated for .22 long rifle. In fact, the monocore can be cleaned with harsh chemical solvents, stainless steel pins, and even ultrasonic cleaners as long as you tape the end cap to protect the Cerakote. The tube is titanium finished in Type C Cerakote. It locks to the monocore's integrated end cap using a wave lock joint. The Centurion forgoes the O-ring found on other Liberty cans because they found that it didn't make a difference in sound after the first mag of ammo sealed up any gaps. The lock ring is the same external diameter as a tube to give the Centurion the smallest diameter possible for fitting under a handguard. It threads directly to the monocore to ensure you don't damage the tube by cross-threading. For hosts, I'm using my favorites, a Gen 4 G17, a Ruger 2245, a Savage FPSR, and an AAC handy rifle. I'll also be shooting some ammo that's new to the market, including American Eagle Suppressor and even the synthetic jacketed Syntech.
I think a really cool comparison would be the Mystic X versus a Centurion because they're based on the same baffle design, but of course there's a lot less volume in the Centurion. It's going to be louder. It's really hard to reproduce over microphones like this lavalier mic I have, and I've got another remote shotgun mic, the actual sound that I'm going to hear even with these electronic ear pros on. But it might give you a little bit of an idea of the difference in tone, and I'll be able to describe what I'm hearing as well. This is the new American Eagle suppressor load right here. Smoking because I just oiled this up. Nice. I still love this. Look at the smoke. That's fun. Now the Centurion dry. There's a noticeable extra crack to it, even though this is subsonic ammunition. This isn't designed to match the performance of a full-size can. It's meant to take the edge off for a bed gun. But what we really want to see is what this sounds like wet. Okay, now it's wet. Oh, way better. Oh, that sounds nice. That I could handle. That's really good sound. It's a great tone, and it's not nearly as sharp when it's dry. I mean, that's a no-brainer, right? But it works really well wet. And for a bedside gun, of course, you wouldn't have water sitting in it. You have something like wire pulling gel that wouldn't evaporate nearly as fast. And that could sit there and it will stick in place. So if you have it setting on the side and you pick it up and you're walking through your house, you're not going to have to worry about it getting in the way of the bore. You're not going to have to worry about it dripping out. The wire pulling gel will be there. And you can hear that's 2 bays away to compare the sound of unsuppressed 9mm to this shooting wet. Now we're running it wet, kind of like what you would be hearing with a self-defense load. This is Spear Gold Dot, 147 grain. It's also subsonic. Nice. Ha! That's a great self-defense load, and that's what it would sound like out of the Centurion if you had some wire pulling gel in it. I'm using water today because it's easier to clean up, but they sound very much the same when you run a can with them in it. Just for kicks, we're going to run some Gold Dot dry. Still sounds really good. That's good. I'd be happy with that in a self-defense scenario. This is definitely going to be knocking enough off of it. It's not going to be ringing my bell using this load inside a house. It's not going to be ringing the bell of anybody else that I might be trying to protect. I think that this is a good bedside combination, even when you're running it dry. Again, just for kicks, this is the Mystic X with the Gold Dot. Yeah, that sounds awesome. That sounds really good. The Mystic X, one of the things I really like about this can, even though this is a video on the Centurion, is this isn't just a multi-caliber can. It's actually a really good 9mm can. I think a lot of people miss that when they are looking at the Mystic X. They think, oh, that's that can that you can use for a lot of different calibers. Yeah, but it's a really good 9mm can. That Centurion has a really high bar to meet when you compare it against the Mystic X. The ears come off for the 22 because this is going to be just fine. This is CCI standard velocity. It's my favorite round to shoot suppressed. That's plenty suppressed for 22. I don't need any hearing protection. Dedicated 22 cans are going to be quieter than this, but this actually is pretty satisfying. I wouldn't need a longer can, I think, to be happy shooting this in my backyard. It's still quieter than a pellet gun, by far. So once again, for kicks, we're going to run the Mystic X to see what it sounds like. Again, it sets a high bar. That's really quiet. That's a very, very nice sound. I shoot this combination in my backyard all the time. I shoot it on my FPSR all the time. That's a really good combination. So now for the FPSR, and I've got to tell you, this looks bad. This looks really awesome. Like bad meaning good, like Michael Jackson bad. Sweet. Again, it's not as quiet as a dedicated 22 can, but that's all you need. And like I said, that looks awesome. That's incredible. I'm gonna tell you right now, I know this is super quiet because I shoot this all the time. Again, this is not as quiet as a dedicated 22 can, but I'm telling you actually, the added length of the Mystic X, I'm glad I shot these like this because I don't think the Centurion was that much louder, not to my ears, than the Mystic X right now. This was a slightly deeper tone, but they're very, very close in what my ear hears as far as volume. And it's way quieter than that. Because the Centurion is shorter than the Mystic X, it can't handle the same pressure. So this is a pistol caliber only suppressor, meaning pistol pressure. So the way David put it to me, David Saylor's the owner of Liberty, if it's got 9mm pressure at the muzzle or lower, and of course if it's sub caliber, then it's okay to shoot through the Centurion. So that means we're limited to 300 blackout subsonic. Woo! That still has a good crack. This is really meant for 9mm handguns. Okay, you're gonna hear a big difference between that and the Mystic X. Yeah, that's quieter. So for 300 blackout, the extra length of the Mystic X does make a difference. There's no doubt about it. Okay, also now for fun, I'm saving this for last in case something goes wrong here, but I'm gonna try shooting the new American Eagle Syntech. It's got a red polymer jacket instead of a copper jacket. And it's supposed to hold together shooting through a silencer. We're gonna see. I'm gonna shoot 10 rounds, let everything cool down, take it apart and see if we see any red jacket material inside the can. I hope this isn't more spectacular of a video than I want it to be. So obviously it's supersonic. It's a 115 grain load. And so that's not really quiet. It's definitely quieter than shooting unsuppressed. But I can't wait to see what the can looks like on the inside. So this is the ammo. It's American Eagle Syntech. And what it's designed to do is to reduce the amount of spall and fragmentation that comes back at you when you're shooting steel. And it's a cooler round, and because there's less friction between the polymer jacket and the barrel than a copper jacket and barrel, even barrelet and a barrel, they can get the same amount of feet per second and kinetic energy out of this with less powder, so it's less recoil. This is one round up close, and I'm still wearing my Michael Jackson glove because the can is still going to be a little bit hot. Back in the day, Infinities came with this takedown tool, and I love it. Now you just end up using a dowel rod, but I'm going to keep using it as long as I have this. And it's just a section of pipe threaded for the same as the booster. Okay, so let's see what we get. Nothing, absolutely nothing. There's no red whatsoever. No red at all. I actually see gold flecks from the gold dot, but I don't see any red particles from the Syntech at all. That's what was promised to me, and it looks like it works. That stuff is not disintegrating in the barrel. No way, no how. That's the end cap. I mean, if it didn't get caught in the baffles, it would be here. It would be dumping out. That's pretty slick. Good boy. He's protecting me from something. I think there's a deer walking behind us, behind the fence. The Centurion occupies a niche. You got to know that going into it. And I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of you watch this video and think, well, I'd rather get the Mystic X because it suppresses most of the things that the Centurion suppresses even better. And you can shoot full power 300 blackout, 223, 7.62 by 39 through this, and a lot more than you can through the Centurion. And so a lot of people, I think if you're going for a first can, something like the Mystic X is a much better choice. But if you already have a full-size 9mm can, and or you're specifically looking for a compact can to run on something like a bedside gun, where it's going to be easier to store, and it is definitely easier to shoot a compact can than a full-length can, and it also suppresses quite well when run wet. I think the Centurion fits that niche really well. Be sure to read my full written review at my website, TWANGnBANG.net. I've got a link to the page right in the video description. Be sure to follow me on Instagram and Facebook to see what I'm doing in between videos here. And be sure to click right here to subscribe so you can see my next videos on bows, guns, and other cool stuff. I really appreciate you watching Twang and Bang, and I hope to see you next time. They need to make a silencer for dogs. Rufus, come here. Good boy. Look how fast you are.